not here to answer any questions, are you?
No.
I'm undecided on the project. What I'd like to put out there, though, I have done some research on. I've been studying wind power at the university, and it seems that there's stakeholders on both sides. From what I've researched, the biggest, the most valid objection is noise. And there's aesthetic issues as well, but from what I see in the literature, noise and potential health issues are very real. On the other hand, there is a need for clean power, and I don't think anybody can expect a utility to not attempt to break a profit. So I guess my question for both sides is on the, and this is for the public, but also something I hope the Public Service Board addresses, is there are stakeholders who live near the project who potentially have a quality of life issue that will diminish. There are people outside of the immediate vicinity whose quality of life may improve. There are some people who are suddenly interested in wind power because it's in their backyard now, and I hope that they stay interested in wind power even when it's not in their backyard. But my hope is that the Public Service Board considers the fact that there's going to be a winner and a loser to this, and that the Public Service Board does what it can to mitigate the damage to the so-called loser. And I would hope that abutting landowners do stand to benefit in some way from the new project that is created.
Good evening. Gary Wright. I've watched this topic for some time, and it appears, after talking with a lot of people, we're really coming down to two primary issues. One is the locality, the people that feel that it's in my backyard. The other component is the economic aspect. Bill's already talked about the issue of Yankee going down, going away. There's a lot of pressure to shut that down. Hydro-Quebec, that contract is going to be up for renewal. If we don't start looking at the economic issue, then what we're going to end up paying is, in all circumstances, a lot more for electricity. I, being a small business owner, one of the things that we continually do is we look at how do we minimize our expense. This is a primary issue here. Yes, not in my backyard is a real symptom, and you have to take and be aware of that. But if everybody didn't want it in their backyard, where are we going to be? I think we need to support this. I think it's a very wise project. When you look at the statistics out west, overseas, wind power is the up-and-coming thing along with solar. So if we don't start supporting, really helping this out, then we're going to have to dig a lot deeper in our pocketbooks. And it's not going to be for something new. It's going to be for something that we already want. That's electricity. So I think we have to support this.
My name is Rick Sharp. My wife and I own 101 acres at Cobble Hill in the southern portion of Milton. We've taught paragliding there and grown Christmas trees for the last 25 years. Our slope faces northward, and our view is exactly the view that you can see in some of these photographs of Georgia Mountain. We are in the process of developing that into a recreational facility, and that will include a bed and breakfast once the economy starts to recover, we hope. And at that time, when the bed and breakfast is built, the views from that building and the decks and everything will be facing northward, and we will be looking right right at Georgia Mountain. So we will be looking at these turbines. I personally believe that there will not be detrimental to people visiting our facility. There will be a lot of out-of-staters, a lot of tourists, and I believe that the tourists will find these turbines to be interesting to view, that it will not cause a detriment to our business, it'll actually be a benefit, because I believe that we need to start to take responsibility for generating some of our own power, or the majority of it locally, and hopefully diffused. I think solar and wind power, among other things, are the future. We need to apply smart technology in order to move from the fossil fuel generation that we've been in. This is a step in that right direction. I think that that's what it represents to tourists that come to the state of Vermont and will view these things, that it will not be detrimental. They will see them not as, ugly industrial scars on the land, but instead beacons of smart technology and the way that we can convert our use of energy to locally grow. So I support the project. I don't see it as a detriment to tourism, and I think that if these things are properly located, that they can generate some of the power that we need. If you're going to use electric lights, you got to be willing to generate some of the power. I think locally there's a trade-off there. I don't see this as a negative trade-off. Those that do, I think, need to accept it as when they go to switch their lights on, they got to say, where did that electricity come from? So some of it should come from local. So I support the project. Thank you.
This project's really interesting. I'm all over the map on how I really feel about it. In 07, I built my own house.
Just state your name.
I'm sorry, Brian Wright. I built my own house in 07, and I'm looking at this property that this is going up on. I'm all over the field on this thing, on how I feel about it. I'm very concerned about the noise. Nobody can tell me if I can hear it from my house or not. I'm quite a ways away, but the wind's going to be blowing right towards me. So obviously that's a huge concern. I have 2 little daughters. That is why I built built the house on the property that I built it on. And at this point, if this goes in and I hear noise, you lost a Vermonter. I'm going somewhere else. I'm moving to New Hampshire. Fortunately, my job has that flexibility. So we really need to know what these are going to produce for noise and what it's going to do to the houses around. Because if you guys want Vermonters to stay in Vermont, you got to make sure that we're putting all their interests in state.
Good evening, I'm Roger Dickinson, and I'd like to speak in support of the Georgia Mountain Wind Power Project. Sure, 70 years ago, when Central Vermont Public Service dammed up the Lamoille River and treated Lake Arrowhead, there were a few people back then that bemoaned the loss of their homes, their farms. Yet, here we are 70 years later, nobody would dispute the value of the hydropower that is generated from those dams. It's a tremendous renewable resource. 70 years from now, we'll look back at this project and we'll be glad we did it. With global warming, everything that's going on in this world, we need wind power. And I, as a resident of Milton, would be very proud to look at Georgia Mountain and see those windmills generating power. The infrastructure tied into the transmission system is here. It's not a long distance to tie in. It's a doable project. It's a good project, and I support it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken Mink. I live in Georgia, Vermont. I'm in support of the project, and the only reservation I have is that I'd like to see more windmills up there. Folks who know about Eagle Mountain in Milton, when you go up there for a hike, you look across the lake and you see many, 40 or 50 windmills across the lake. So I think it's time for Vermont to step up to the plate and get online with renewables. Thanks.